we're at an environment where it's not about the money anymore.
Right, no,
it's about the impact. It's about the things you can do with even more.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at that as a motivator, would you say that that's the thing that's driving you most now? Like, what is it that you are looking for, the big aha? Like, why are you doing what you're doing?
I think it's the personal growth.
Okay.
I went through and I could have a whole nother podcast like depression. That's a whole nother thing. But I went through a phase of where I felt like I was going through really bad depression because I was very miserable, but I didn't have any reason to be. Like, my life's good. And that's kind of how I would view that. And I got to the point where I realized, I said, you know what? Most of what we do, people won't remember. Like, Betty White was a great example. I remember she died, and like a week, like, she's not talked about it anymore. And so I just got to a point where I had all this money and I kind of wasn't broke, which was the goal of the business. And then when I got there, I said, man, like, this isn't really what I thought it would be. Like, I thought I would feel different. You feel pretty much the same.
Yes.
And so then I go, okay, so what's the point of all this? And I talked to a couple people, and I have my own opinions on it, but I think what really helped me was the thought that, well, why does it have to matter? Or why does there have to be a reason for, like, why you do what you do? Maybe you just enjoy it. And so I think I got to the point where I said, hey, I really do enjoy business. I feel the happiest with the growth, like the actual building of the company. When I actually hit the result, so I had a goal to hit $1 million a month, and I hit it. And I remember I just felt like over the moon. And then, like, the very next day I was like, okay, what's next?
What's next?
And so it's really the growth. And so for me, I think what I would go through to have to build $1 billion company, whether I succeed or not, and that's actually the best place to be, it's the growth that will happen versus the actual result, because ultimately people really don't care. I'll tell people some numbers sometimes, just conversations, like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then, like, they go to the next question. I'm like, wait, dude, did you hear the number I just said? But it's just human nature. Like, everyone has their own thing. Everyone has their own lives. And so for me, it's the growth. And then I also really do enjoy, like, seeing my team win. Like, two of my brothers work with me, and they both had no degree. They were going to have to go to college for 4 years, take out a bunch of debt. You know, my parents couldn't pay for it. And now they're making, you know, $250,000 plus a year running as execs for my companies, making way more than I ever did. They're way wealthier than I was at their age. And so I think it's those types of things that really make it worth it. Ultimately, you know, buying stuff, I went that route. I bought you know, super expensive Lamborghini that I wish I'd held on to. I bought it for $550, it sells for $1 million now.
Yeah.
And I got a really expensive penthouse, and it's fun, but for me, I realized, man, these things, like, get old after 6 months. It's just stuff. And so now that I'm, like, really focused more on the personal growth and not so much the result, I'm just way happier, and I feel like I do a lot better work versus trying to, like, prove something to people or thinking that hitting that goal is going to make me feel different, because it didn't.